So first happening was, before stream, a massive active shooter in Dearborn, Michigan. People are hiding in stock rooms and running for their lives. Please pray we do not have to live like this. I have no other information besides this video. This is all I have seen on the shooting happening at the mall.
Oh my god.
Imagine running in Crocs, bro. Holy shit.
Oh my god. Come on, come on.
So, you know, a little crazy. And then also, in Salem, New Hampshire, Salem police responded to a Walmart location after receiving a call from someone who claimed to have placed bombs inside the store. The individual also said that they were armed with firearms, according to officials. Salem police evacuated the building and swept the store with canines. As of 2 p.m., the Walmart has reopened and returned to normal operation, according to the police. Now, this is doubly interesting because when I was looking up more information to see if there was anything else about the Salem, New Hampshire Walmart bomb threat, this article came up, May 1st, 2026. A Salem, Ohio Walmart reopens following a bomb threat on Friday. So this is back in May. So I'm wondering if there's like some sort of serial harasser who just genuinely hates Walmart from the depths of his soul, calling in bomb threats at Walmarts around the country, specifically in towns called Salem. Wouldn't that be kind of weird? Wouldn't that be strange? Salem is a curse, also Walmart, you know? Texas middle school teacher hero rushes out naked with gun to stop a savage from attacking a 15-year-old girl. A brave teacher in Harris County, Texas, heard screams late at night and spotted a thug beating a 15-year-old girl on the ground outside of his apartment, trying to rip her clothes off after following her from a bus stop. David Garza didn't hesitate. He grabbed his pistol, ran outside, pointed it at the predator, and ordered him to stop. The terrified girl screamed, "I'm 15, help me." Yeah, you're not gonna fucking square up with a psychopath who comes out naked with a gun, all right? That's horrifying. Ain't nobody gonna fight that guy. The attacker let go of her hair immediately and fled when he saw armed resistance. This is what real men do. They act, they don't just film. One good guy with a gun stopped a monster from destroying a child's life. Heroes like this teacher are out there protecting our communities when seconds count. Now let's get this out there everywhere and help police identify the attacker. True. I personally think it looks like this guy has boxers on, because it looks like part of his torso is blackened behind the blur. So I think he might have had boxers, but can you imagine just like the fear on a bad guy's face if a guy bursts out of his house, dick swinging, gun locked and loaded? That's horrifying. That's a real man right there. He's like, you put down that teenager! Not in my house, buddy! Please have boxers on. He's just got that much southern True, you know, he might be a Wookiee. Cocks out, Glocks out, boy, let's go! True and fucking real. The UK would arrest the guy with the gun and hunting down the PDF to apologize to him. Yeah, there was another thing in the UK that I had in tab somewhere where like there was some kind of like a beatdown on a guy and they arrested the victim and then they were like, actually, we did nothing wrong. We did nothing wrong. Also, stop sharing the evidence of the video. Yeah, right? Yeah, fucking right. After the Supreme Court ruling, apparently billboards have been going up, encouraging having people give birth in the U.S. Hospitals in the U.S. are advertising in Latin American countries offering birth packages of up to $5,000 to foreigners to help them give birth in border states like Texas, allowing their children to be born as U.S. citizens following the new SCOTUS ruling. Wonderful! Now that it's no longer ambiguous, they don't need to whisper about it, they can just plaster it on fucking billboards! Unfortunately for them, their billboard doesn't look as cool as mine, so my billboard's better. But it's literally, havemybabyiintexas.com. How fucking ridiculous is that? Just to start carding everyone who tries going into a hospital that offers the birth packages, man. Mission Regional Medical Center? It would be a fucking religious hot medical center. So unlucky, now we have fucking let's go have American babies birth tourism just blowing out of megaphones instead of whispered in secret. I hate to see it. Do you know what's in your kebab? Many people in the UK thought they did, but one of the largest suppliers, Kismet Kebabs, has just been prosecuted for lying extensively. I'd have to say, this is kind of what you fucking get for having, like, why are there so many kebab shops in the UK in the first place? Let's think about that for a second. First of all. Second of all, my only interaction with British kebab shops in the past was reading the articles about how a victim of the grooming gangs was chopped up and made into kebab meat. So I have no idea how so many people in the UK seemingly trusted kebab meat. This has to be like fake statistics. This has to be like, oh, all of our politicians loved this kebab meat. The average person knew not to eat it. Wait, why are you guys saying what in all caps? Did a lot of you not know about the fucking grooming gang victim being made into kebab meat? Was that not common knowledge? Am I crazy? Kebabs are good, at least you thought they. I would never eat a kebab unless I made it myself. Ain't no way, dude. Their lamb kebabs were labeled as having 50 to 70% of lamb, but DNA testing has shown they have very little lamb. The contents were often skin, fat, goat, beef trim, offcuts, chicken, mutton, and mechanically reclaimed meat. This is also why I don't like eating certain like jerky meats when they're just like mechanically reclaimed chicken. No thank you. No thank you, buddy. I don't want to eat that. This also reminds me of the issue with Subway years ago where Subway's chicken was found to be like less than 40-something% chicken and the majority of it was like wood pulp or some shit. So legally, Subway shouldn't have been calling their chicken chicken. Should have been like chicken product. The company made at least £6 million from the fraud, and it was just fined £500,000 plus court costs. They're gonna keep doing it. They don't fucking care. 500,000 is nothing to a company that makes fucking 6 mil. So much for the UK's #1 halal doner kebab manufacturer. Is that a joke? Do they throw doner in there as a joke? There's no way.
You may not be after this. Would you know what's in your doner meat? What if I told you it was goat meat?
Oh my god, it is called that! Why the fuck would you call it that? Doner kebab is a real type of kebab, but it's a really unfortunate coincidence. I don't care about how of an unfortunate coincidence it is. I would never order something with doner in the name unless I was at like a ha-ha-hee-hee Halloween party. We're naming our stuff purposely weird shit.
Fat and even skin. Well, one of the UK's largest kebab makers was putting that in their doner meat for years and selling it at takeaways to millions of us. And they were only found out after investigators did DNA tests. At a raid at Kismet Kebabs, trading standards officers found boxes of fat, lamb and other meats being put into a grinder and then being labelled as 70% lamb. Some of the bogus kebabs had so much fat in them, shop owners were complaining they were going limp and falling off the sticks as they cooked. The company was fined £500,000.
For those who are confused about what's wrong with doner, doner party is a big thing from the past. I can't remember when it happened in the US, where they cannibalized each other. It was a cannibalism party.
£1 million, but said it had now changed its ways. Investigators have compared the case with the horse meat scandal from more than 10 years ago. So, doner for dinner?
Doner for dinner? I don't want to eat the prions. I brought this up just in case people didn't know about the grooming scandal. They put Charlene Downs into kebabs. Stay away from kebab shops, which, yeah, if I was a British patriot, I would never buy from a fucking kebab shop. Ain't no way. Mother of schoolgirl Charlene Downs, who was murdered and minced into kebabs by Blackpool grooming gang, reveals she's still stuck in that day, 20 years on from her disappearance. And this article, 20 years on from it happening, was in 2023, by the way. You remember there suddenly being a lot of Donner Party jokes in the 90s? It was a fad, and no idea why it suddenly gained traction 100 years after the fact. Yeah, I remember it, or learning about it from playing Gex. Because in one of the, like, early levels, he kept making Donner Party jokes, and I was like, what is that? I am literally at 13 years old. What is that? So I looked it up, and I learned way early. Holy fuck.
Donner party for 20. Donner party for 20.
Patchouli, thank you. The only kebabs you trusted were made by a Turk and you knew that lived up the street from your aunt in Queens. That guy passed away well over a decade ago, and you wouldn't trust him if you made him yourself. Good lord. Matt Larson, thank you. You picked a bad time to start eating. Well, as long as you're not eating the chopped up bodies of other humans, I think you're fine. I think you're pretty okay.
begging to come here right now.
Some of these kids, and I call them kids because they're in their 20s, and they've never had real jobs, and they're complaining things are expensive. Yes, things are expensive when you don't have a real job.
That's right.
Do you think that's getting traction, complaining?
Unfortunately, I do, because this generation, my generation, I hate to say it, Gen Z and those younger than me have been raised with just silver spoons in their mouth, just getting everything handed to them. That's not the values this country was built on. It was built on meritocracy and hard work, pulling up your sleeves, pulling yourself up from your bootstraps, and achieving the American dream. And we need to protect it with all we got.
Is it laziness?
A little bit.
Is it because the professor said the country's corrupt, it's evil, and we just need to shake them down and hand money out?
It's laziness, and it's the liberal indoctrination. You bring up a great point about our education system. However, I will say, a silver lining, so many parents that I talk to across the country are homeschooling, are turning to private education, are turning towards Christian schools across the country because they don't want their children being taught these communist and liberal ideas slammed down their throat. It's why President Trump in the White House has advocated so strongly for school choice across the country. We want kids to be taught to love our country. They should. It is the greatest country in the history of the world.
All right. I say, if they misbehave, just make all these young kids join the army, right? Shape them up. I almost had to.
Send them to Cuba. Send them to Iran. They'll want to come back real quick.
That's a good point. They can say hi to the gay Ayatollah. Thank you so much, and welcome
the
back,
gay
Karoline.
Ayatollah. Now, pretty much everybody I've seen has universally condemned this as, wow, these are two dumb fucking boomers. What the fuck are you talking about? Hot take. They're fucking right. If anyone actually took the time to listen to the entire interview like we did just now, they even reference liberals and communists. They're talking about the leftists who are courting communists and voting communists into power, and how a lot of the younger group of people do believe I should get everything I want and do not have to work. I even just referenced how on Cold Ones, the majority of their American audience said their dream job was to be unemployed. This is a problem. However, unfortunately, a lot of people are very right in their knee-jerk reaction to be like, what the fuck are these boomers talking about? Because on the flip side, on the right, boomers who are incredibly out of touch have been labeling everyone as lazy and not wanting to work, when it's them who have flooded our country with foreigners who do things for low wages, thus slicing out Americans from the job market. And if it wasn't enough to have foreigners taking jobs from American and taking university slots from Americans, we also have all the DEI bullshit that Republicans have basically done absolutely nothing to fight against for the most part. And so it's like they come off as very out of touch when they talk about just the communists wanting everything for free, and they don't talk about the flip side that their side has encouraged, where we need to get rid of DEI initiatives and we need to have mass deportations to free up slots for Americans who do want to work and who can't find work. Finding a job even part-time in this market is miserable. Yep. Why should you work if the state steals up to 75% of your wages? And I don't disagree with you. Like, the way that they phrased this, I understand why everyone immediately went for their fucking throat. But I was like, I think it's obvious. They even mentioned they're talking about the liberals and the communists. And the liberals and the communists are the ones who are basically like, yeah, I should get everything for free. I shouldn't have to work. I'm going to be the commune fucking scarf knitter. That's definitely going to be a real job in the future. You know? Like, you see hundreds of Indians coming in and taking jobs that could be going to Americans? Yes. If you're going to come out and you're going to talk about the lazy and the ones who don't want to work and don't want to contribute, if you don't also start talking about immediately after all of the foreigners coming in, all of the visa abuse, all of the DEI initiatives that have been depressing Americans, you're basically going to get attacked by everyone because it sounds like you're not addressing the real problems. Karoline Leavitt married a billionaire 3 times her age. She's the last one who should be talking about pulling oneself up. It is a very tone-deaf message coming from someone who married a billionaire. I can agree with that. However, she could have worded it far better, right? If she had to be the messenger of this, if she had to be the one to say it on this talk show, she definitely could have said it in a much better way. The way that she said it definitely opened her up to scrutiny. Don't get you wrong, you would love to not have to work, but that isn't how it works. Until you win the lottery, you're pulling your own weight in the world. And I mean, even if you won the lottery, you don't just stop existing, right? Like, you're going to want to invest and you're going to want to buy things for yourself. But then you also have to be like, well, what do I want to do? Right? We talk often about, like, getting involved in your local politics and then being the change that you want to see. If I was suddenly in possession of, like, Elon Musk money, I would obviously want to make sure that, like, myself and my family is immediately taken care of and we're not going to fall into destitution. I would want to invest quite a lot of it. But then I would also be like, what do I want to do? What change do I want to be that I would like to see in my communities? And how can I facilitate that with the sudden giant pile of riches that I have acquired? The problem is them equating real job to feeling the effects of poor economy when only the top 10% have enough fuck you money to be immune from the effects. The great majority of us feel poor. No, I agree. It was incredibly poorly worded, right? It was incredibly poorly worded. And again, like someone else pointed out, she married a billionaire, so she doesn't exactly know what she's talking about. However, when she brought up the liberals and communists, I was like, yeah, I can agree with that. These are lazy people who are voting in malicious people who aren't going to give them the free shit they think they're going to get. We've seen in Chaz and we've seen in Chop how all of these communists believe that they'll just get to sit on their ass and be given everything. They don't want to work. They don't want to contribute. They just want to be given free shit. But the way with this is worded, it sounds like she's pegging everyone with the same brush, even if you get to the point and you hear communists and liberals and you're like, oh, okay, I know who she's talking about. She doesn't talk about the things that regular people are worried about, right? Yes, you should be worried about the commies. Yes, you should be worried about the leftists who vote in the commies because they think they'll get free shit. But you also need to bring up, like I've said like 4 times now, the fucking issues with visa fraud, the issues with all of the illegal work. I frequently say companies need to feel the adverse effects. Companies need to start getting massive fucking fines. They need to start having jail time for the people who hire illegals and fraudulent visa people. It sounds like that because that's what she said. I don't think it is. Once again, I think she just poorly worded it because maybe she's not used to having to make talking points against her side in this case, because Republicans do like free slave labor sometimes. They're not principled and they don't know the difference between lazy Gen Z commies and Gen Z people who want to participate in a strong economy without massive government intervention. That's also a very good point for why it was potentially worded fucking terribly. A White House spokesperson should be used in talking points. She also clears it up here. She said, I'm seeing a lot of bad faith actors taking my comments from this interview out of context. So here's the full interview and let me expound. This interview is about the rise of communism on the left, and I was asked by Jesse Waters why so many young people are buying the false promise of free stuff being sold by communist politicians. My answer was a combination of laziness, yes, and the liberal indoctrination that has been taking place in our education system for far too long. And she's completely right about this. Because no one on the right is suddenly being like, I'm going to vote for communists. No one on the right who wants to participate in the labor market and who's been shut out by Democrats and Republicans fueling visa fraud and fueling foreign labor in the American market. She's completely fucking correct. There is zero incorrectness in this statement. The boomers with the pull yourself up by your bootstraps spent the last 50 years making nothing but strapless boots and selling them to younger generations. True and fucking real. Saying's even funnier when you look into the history of it. Until the boomers, it meant to do something impossible. Jesus Christ. You've also heard that they don't understand that things have changed. I see that very often, that they just do not understand the world we live in now. There are far left educators pumping students' heads with garbage, convincing them that hard work and sacrifice won't pay off down the road because they want them totally reliant on the government instead. And the reason some people buy into this, right? Some people are just useful idiots and will buy hook, line, and sinker what the communists are selling them. Useful idiots have always existed. But some other people see the Republicans enjoying fucking slave labor via visa abuse. Even Elon at one point was just like, well, we need more H-1B visas. If you are a politician anywhere in the center or on the right, and you still haven't realized that like migration and fixing our immigration system is like a #1 priority, you have no fucking idea what's going on. Crazy how much she says here that neither of them said during the interview in question, and then they call us bad faith actors. It's incredibly bad faith. I don't think they were acting in bad faith, and I also don't think the people calling them out were acting in bad faith either. I think that they just worded things horrifically because it made it sound like, again, even though she mentioned specifically liberals and communists, it made it sound like she was painting all of the younger generations with the same brush. And not explicitly trying to be like, there's things Republicans need to address in order to make sure people aren't just, well, fuck it, I'm voting communist, right? Well, you're 100% right. You think most politicians who do realize it's an issue have no idea what's going on. The hour's far later for some of us than others. The fact that some politicians are basically just realizing what a lot of regular Americans realized 15, 20 years ago is a very bad sign. Very, very bad sign. She continues, and she says, I went on to say that's why President Trump is a huge advocate for school choice, and why so many parents I know are turning to homeschooling. Good parenting also matters more than anything, but a solid civics-based education is also vitally important. Yes. I care enough about our country to tell uncomfortable truths, and it's an undeniable fact that a growing number of young people in our country are falling for the lies of socialism and communism. And she's completely correct about this. This is why, like, whenever people in my chat would be like, but Kirsche, Gen Z is so based. It's like, no, there might be some hella radicalized, hella based people in Gen Z. But again, as we see in everything Bridge pushes out, Bridge is telling everyone Gen Z is more radicalized in the opposite direction. Gen Z cares about the race of the people in their TV shows, in their commercials, in their content creators. They have statistics, whether they're real or not, to back up the fact that younger people in Gen Z and Gen Alpha are more likely to buy a product if a minority content creator is selling it to them. Again, I don't believe statistics, but Bridge is the one pushing these things. You can't just say, no, I don't believe that's happening, because as soon as you underestimate your enemy, that's when you fucking lose. Gen Z went with the commies. I have seen some very based Gen Zs, right? Like, I know they exist, but there's also some very communist captured Gen Zs. Sold to them by anti-American politicians who have never built anything, offer no real solutions, and are intent on tearing down everything that makes this country great. That's great that she says this here, but you need to address the do-nothing Republicans as well. Because we can't even get fucking voter ID passed, and you want us to support politicians that want online ID? Absolutely fucking not. At the same time, it's also true that many Gen Z Americans are hardworking, entrepreneurial, and deeply patriotic. Hey, that's what I just said. And it's vital we protect the American dream for them. That's why I'm honored to work for President Trump and speak on behalf of an administration that is implementing the right policies to do this. Lower taxes, less regulation, stopping Wall Street from purchasing single-family homes, Trump accounts, and the deportation of illegal aliens who are taking our housing and jobs. It needs to be more than just the illegals at this point, lady. You have to address visa fraud. There is more work to do, which is why President Trump and our entire administration won't stop fighting to make life better and more affordable for young people. As the president of the country warned, communism is the enemy of free people everywhere. It is the enemy of the Constitution, and above all, it is the enemy of July 4th, 1776. So I'll continue to call out the radical Democrats, socialists, and communists who are lying to our youth. And I know the president will continue to pursue an economic and domestic agenda that expands and strengthens the American dream for generations to come. And I think the way that she could have done a better job at saying this in the initial interview is, again, to mention the visa abuse, to mention deportations, to mention the issues with foreigners coming here, to mention the issues with birthright citizenship that just got dealt to us by the Supreme Court. All of this needs to be addressed. And especially if you're going to use that heinous fucking pull yourself up by your bootstraps phrase, everyone is immediately going to just disregard everything else you said. Because when you say that, you sound like you're attacking everyone, regardless of political affiliation, regardless of if you extrapolate later that you're talking about liberals and communists. People will see that fucking bootstraps phrase and just be like, get a look at this fucking out-of-touch retard that married a billionaire and has no idea what the fuck she's talking about. And the age verification web de-anonymization bill has you very scared, and X is also in favor of it. It's very scary, and it feels like, especially with this like Supreme Court ruling and some of the other things that have happened recently, it feels like just we're screaming and nobody listens, you know? Badlizer, thank you. The ingrained reaction to any bootstraps comment is, for you at least, just to say a slur. As it should be. As it fucking should be. I don't blame anyone who saw that and immediately reacted to it, because yeah, that is the correct reaction. Because anyone still using that bootstraps comment is kind of retarded. We need a 100-year moratorium on immigration until we get our house in order and a 9,001% tax on outsourcing. I am all for a moratorium at this point. Stream Elements is making changes to SEPay that may impact credit card tip processing. They encourage you to withdraw your available tip balance well before December 31st, 2026. They are working to expand payout options beyond PayPal. They're working to expand the options beyond PayPal, but they've disabled credit card tip processing for now. That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. But at least there's some kind of an answer here. More Mexican restaurants are charging for chips and salsa. That's a good thing. Fuck you. What? There is nothing Texas-like to argue about more than food, especially when it comes to Tex-Mex. Everyone knows about the long-standing beef between Austin and San Antonio over tacos. I don't. Last summer, hot dogs wrapped in blue corn tortillas had Facebook commenters up in arms. Another sensitive topic. Whether restaurants should charge for chips and salsa. The answer is no. The answer is no, they absolutely shouldn't. What are we doing here? The complimentary appetizer rose to prominence decades ago as a replacement for the free tortillas and butter Tex-Mex and Mexican restaurants used to dole out. That's really stupid. Why would they give you tortillas and butter? That wouldn't taste as good as like the fluffy bread and butter. Chips and salsa just makes... Who the fuck was out here buttering tortillas? What the heck?
What is my purpose?
You pass butter.
If you charge me for tortilla tips and salsa, you will patronize another establishment. Yeah, right? Mass-produced tortilla chips became more widely available in the 70s, and offering them with a side of salsa, house-made or from a jar, turned out to be cheaper in some cases. If I found out I went to a sit-down restaurant and they gave me fucking jarred-ass salsa, I would never want to go back. What the fuck do you mean? I guess I am just spoiled by, like, the quality of New England restaurants. You're supposed to butter the dog, not the tortillas. True. They jumped straight to it's a good thing. They didn't even do the it's not happening. It's crazy, right? Chips and salsa soon became a standard, and customers expected them to hit the table before their drink orders were even taken. But things slowly started to change with the inflation that came during the COVID-19 pandemic. Since then, it's become more common to charge diners for chips and salsa, and the practice may be increasing as the restaurant industry struggles because many diners are choosing to eat at home due to high gas and food prices. This has caused some sticker shock. It is really expensive to eat out now. I remember when I was younger being able to like go out on a date and it would be like, you know, like $20-25 for two people to get like just 2 meals, right? That's not a thing anymore. Now the average price of eating out is like, you know, $60-70 for 2 people. That's fucking crazy. That is insanity. Now it's $20 for a cocktail, right? It's insane. At Ana Liz Taqueria in Mission, an order of tostadas and salsa is $1. The tray of 6 salsas is complimentary, but the tostadas are painstakingly handcrafted and incur a charge. You can't tell me that you pay $1 fucking dollar and then use painstakingly handcrafted in the next sentence. People aren't eating out. We'll give them more reasons to not eat out. That will solve the problem of people not eating out, right? I'm not gonna feel bad. What the fuck is this? First, heirloom Mexican corn is imported from across Mexico to Laredo, where owner chef Ana Liz Polito picks up her haul. Then she drives back to Mission and begins the nixtamalization process. She soaks the corn in an alkaline solution of water and slacked lime for hours. Then she rinses the kernels and grinds them in a large molino made with hand-carved volcanic stones. The rough powder mixed with water forms mesa, which Polito and her team pinch, roll, weigh, and press. Everything is handmade. She tells customers who are surprised by the price. Some walk out, others understand and stay. Are we still talking about the $1 tostadas? I'm so confused. I'm so fucking confused, man. And also, yeah, everyone expects some kind of complimentary thing at their table, whether it be fucking tostadas or chips or bread. If it's a sit-down restaurant, chips and salsa being free should be a damn guarantee as a complimentary side dish. It'd be like going to Olive Garden and telling me garlic bread isn't a free side dish. You can't hate Journos enough. Drown him in bad salsa. True and fucking real. Any kind of sit-down restaurant, and especially if they have like a pricier menu, they give you like tons of fucking free bread. I told you guys about the other day, I went to some pizza place and they had They had amazing, it was like a pizza place, Italian place, I don't fucking remember. They had amazing free bread. I must have asked for like 3 or 4 refills of that free fucking bread. But I also bought shit. Or I'm not gonna just be like, give me all your free bread, I'm gonna order a drink, and then I'm gonna leave. Like, that's fucked up if somebody does that, right? The complimentary things are there to tide your appetite because it's probably been an hour since you realize you're hungry. They're ruining their own restaurant experience by delaying that another 15 minutes by making people wait to order chips. Yup. Yup. Even restaurants that produce chips and salsa cheaply have their boundaries. At 99-year-old L&J Cafe in El Paso, up to 3 rounds of chips with salsa are complimentary. Up to 3 rounds, says manager Trey Duran, and after that, the chips and salsa go for $4.99. It usually doesn't come to that. After the 3rd bowl, most customers have had their fill, and their entrees have arrived at the table. Chips and salsa really don't cost much to make, but at a certain point, it starts to add up. It's very rare that I ask for like even 1 refill of like the free whatever the fuck the restaurant gives me at the table. It's only if I eat it and I'm like, this is one of the best things I've ever fucking eaten in my life. And I know I'm gonna be spending money there anyway, so I'm like, whatever, let's just ask for another basket, bro. But like, I could not imagine regularly asking for like 3+ more of the free things. That's insanity. That's fucking crazy. All that bread is going straight to your ass. Think of the chair towel. Need to bounce that booty like a ciabatta bread, bro. So the cheese pillows I pay for. They literally come with your free flight. Not your free flight, your fucking, what is it called? Full flight. There we go. Yeah, I paid like $120 for that. All right, okay? I'm gonna get my cheese pillows. If they start charging for chips and salsa, then they don't get a tip. Those changing consumer habits. I'm having flashbacks to like the all-you-can-eat shrimp at Red Lobster. Your family owns a Mexican franchise. You're uniquely qualified to say that this article is bullshitting hard. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They just want you to feel bad. You know, there's so many deportations going on right now. You can pay a little for your salsa. Can you not? No. No, I can't. Fun fact, bread is used to make customers more full before they eat their meal. Which doesn't make sense to me, right? Because like, wouldn't you want your customers hungrier so that they order like a bigger meal? I don't know, man. 100% a certain group of the clientele just eating the free shit and then leaving. That's what I'm picking up from this, which is a disgusting behavior. Across the state in Austin, old school Tex-Mex diner Habanero Cafe charges $5.25 for a basket of chips and a bowl of salsa. Dinata Cantina, a hip joint with 2 locations in the city, charges customers $7.50 but will continue to fill the basket of chips for free. $7.50 for something that used to be free. That's fucking crazy. Chips and salsa are a steal at $1 during happy hour. No, you know what's a steal? When you get the free chips and salsa and it's actually delicious. That's the steal. You don't know if it's different elsewhere, but they bring out the free stuff after you've ordered where you are. I don't even pay attention to when they bring out the free stuff. Cause like I've never gone to a restaurant for the expressed purpose of eating the free stuff and leaving. So it's never mattered to me if they bring the free stuff before you order your drinks or after you've already ordered something. Like, I've never paid attention to that. It's just like, ooh, what are we gonna get for free? I don't care when it comes. I'm just interested in what they have. You specifically refuse to eat Chipotle for almost a decade because they make you pay for chips and salsa. It's so dumb. I hate free bread eaters. In San Antonio, Jason Daddy, chef owner of Mexico City, a food hall along the Riverwalk, charges $25 for chips and salsa. At least it might seem that way at first. What? At Tres Arcos, the high-end Tex-Mex restaurant in the complex, the menu lists $25 prominently. In a note that if the table spends $25 on other food, the chips and salsa are free. There it is, buddy. There, it's changing consumer habits. We all knew it! If the meal is below $25, customers are charged $3.95 for chips and salsa. When I first saw that, I must admit I was shocked. It's a steep price for a basic thing. When changing consumer habits come to your town, you have to get crafty with how you deal with them, you know? You have to get crafty because you don't want to punish people who are actually there to patronize your restaurant. But you can't just have people coming in, eating your free shit and leaving, all right? This is actually a really crafty way to do it. Bless the daddy, man. Your favorite local Mexican place brings out chips and salsa, but won't bring refills until after you ordered. This includes ordering just a coffee or soda. They also give the military discount to ice. Based? It reminds you of the $999 price tags in LA. Yeah, they had to change everything to be like just above like the felony for stealing. And then they change it to the regular price once you actually go to check out. Fucking insanity. What some places have to do to combat changing consumer habits. There's a TikTok woman who shows herself stealing plates of food from buffets. You wouldn't be surprised if there are bill dodgers who do the eat the free apps and leave. Yeah, see, that's fucking gay. People shouldn't do that. But unfortunately, we live in a society and not everyone will always just, and we've kind of lost a lot of rules of engagement and politry in current year. Daddy agrees, adding that the $25 minimum was randomly selected. I don't want to charge for chips and salsa, he said. It comes the second you sit down regardless, but if you spend, quote unquote, I think we put it as an arbitrary number of $25, then it automatically comps it off your bill. In other words, if a table orders a margarita and a couple of entrees, the $25 threshold is always met. That's actually crazy if at his restaurant his prices are so low that one margarita and a couple of entrees is meeting the $25 threshold, right? Because like a typical price for a margarita is like $13. And a typical price for an entree could be anywhere between like 18 and 29. If you're getting like a good cut of steak, it's gonna be up in the 40s, but like, yeah, that's fucking cheap. Yeah, that's crazy. Daddy explains that the charge is set up to stave off the seasonal wave of teens on the Riverwalk and in the shops at River Center, where Mexico City is located. Right now, during the summer, you open those doors and there's 2,000 high school kids, adolescent kids going through there, not always completely supervised. Bro, I can proudly say that I would scrounge together quarters in order to be able to like buy shit when my brother and I went out for food. All right, I even got like, I've told the stories about how like the local McDonald's manager was like this nice old man when I was a child. And like we went there so frequently and paid in coins so frequently, he knew that we were poor as fuck, all right? And so in like the winter seasons, he would frequently give us free food and also free hot chocolate. He was a super nice fucking guy. And it's just like, we don't live in that world anymore. That's not where we live, and I hate it. La Fonda on Main, a 94-year-old River City institution, charges an initial $3 for chips and salsa, but refills are free. Even corporate restaurants are making diners pay for chips and salsa. Rosa's Cafe and Tortilla Factory, headquartered in Fort Worth, prices them at $4.95 to $7.95, depending on the desired portion, the largest being a pint. There are holdouts, and Amarillo La Frontera owner Mary Martinez had never considered charging for chips and salsa until I spoke with her. I don't know how to take that, she said. It's just been customary to offer them for free for so long. That's not to say she doesn't see the reason behind it. Martinez makes salsa each night for the next day. The chips are fried in the kitchen daily, and she cringes when she cleans tables and sees large amounts of chips and salsa uneaten. I did a table last week, she said. It does hurt. I always try to clean my free appetizer, man. Like usually, I go to a lot of Italian restaurants. I don't like a lot of Mexican food. I don't like guacamole. I don't like sour cream. I don't like chorizo. I don't like spicy things. I don't like pickled jalapeno. I think that shit's nasty. I don't like the way that most Mexican restaurants cook steak. I think it's disgusting texture-wise. So I just avoid Mexican restaurants for the majority of time, you know? But I go to Italian restaurants, and Italian restaurants give you free bread. And a lot of Italian restaurants have some really fucking good free bread. And I'd be very upset if my Italian restaurant started demanding I pay for my free bread. Charging for chips and salsa is a decision that must be made by restaurants as needed. Nevertheless, I'm firmly on the side of the ones that charge. The starter is nice, but unnecessary bonus. See, like, even I wouldn't mind if there's layers to this, right? Like chips and salsa come free. If you want like a specialty made queso dip, that's going to be extra. That makes sense. When you go to the Italian places with the free bread on the menu, sometimes there'll also be like, we'll take this free bread and we'll put like a bruschetta on it. You can have a bruschetta. All right. We'll take this bread and then we'll put like sauce and cheese on it. And you can have like giant cheese loaf, right? It's like, they do things like that where it's like, oh, for the extra $4, you can get it specialty done into something else, or you can just eat the free bread. Who fucking cares, right? At Texas Day Brazil, you were given free bread, free mashed potatoes, free fries, and a free cinnamon banana with your meal. You felt like royalty. When you go to Fogo de Chao and you get the like full flight, they bring out like these dishes of like free mashed potatoes and free fried plantains and some fucking other shit that I don't remember what it is. And like some of it's really fucking delicious. And you can ask them for more of that shit too. You went to a steakhouse that made their bread with a local dark beer served with honey butter. Ooh, that sounds good. That sounds good. Chips and queso are never free, and queso, with its traditional Velveeta base, is arguably easier to produce than fresh salsa. A dish's price point depends not only on the recipe, the labor, and the ingredients, but also on the costs of rent, dishes, flatware, napkins, the point-of-sale system, and the decor. In other words, everything customers see and don't see. I went to a Mexican restaurant recently, and they had a queso dip that you could add chorizo to for like an extra $2. And obviously, as it's a Mexican restaurant, they also had chicken and steak and other stuff, right? And so, like, when the lady came to our table, I was like, hello, yes, we would like to get the queso dip, but instead of chorizo, can we get it with chicken? And she was like, no, can't, no substitutions. And I was like, but the chorizo doesn't come in the dip. Like, you have to specifically request to add it. So could I not just specifically request to add chicken to it? And she looked at me like I was a fucking alien. So she was like, I'll go ask the kitchen. And so she leaves, and I'm just like, what the fuck just happened? What the fuck just happened? And she comes back and she explains, normally the kitchen would not do substitutions, but it's not very busy right now, so we can do your chicken substitution. And I'm still just like, the queso dip comes with no meat in it. You can choose to add the chorizo for $2 extra. Why is this so crazy that I'm asking if I can add chicken? I don't fucking understand. Just asked a rigid NPC to think freely. They can't do that. Your queso had spit in it too. If it did, that would be fucking ridiculous. I don't think I asked for anything fucking crazy. That means the kitchen looked at her and went, yeah? I don't fucking NPC mode when working. I was just so fucking confused. Kier outing the kitchen for using jarred products. That's exactly what my brain went to. Whenever a restaurant tells me no substitutions, it immediately sets off a red flag that this is like a frozen prepared meal that they get delivered, and that's why there's no substitutions. Consuela-esque, no. Front of house brain, it never occurred to her what the meaning of substitutions or add means. I made her go off script. I made her have to experience free will in the middle of her work shift. Oh my god. Remember my chicken tender sub story? You're from New York, and yes, the food in the South can't compare with food in the North, especially the subs and pizza. True and fucking real. Velveeta has no place in real queso. That's what I thought. I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? Velveeta base in a queso. What the fuck? The North can't compare to the South in food when it comes to barbecue, steak, burgers, anything grilled, Tex-Mex, Mexican food, chicken, fried chicken. I'm gonna heavily disagree with you on the barbecue, steak, burgers, and chicken and fried chicken. The best chicken tenders I've ever had, if we exclude Flying J's truck stop, definitely in the North. Best burgers, North. Barbecue, North. Mexican food, I don't give a shit about, so you might be right about that, but I don't care. I always say no to everyone and normally wouldn't even ask the kitchen, but you were so annoying that I did it anyway, and you made me work for my job. I wasn't even annoying! And I like, whenever I'm at a restaurant, I'm always like expressively thankful every time something happens. I say thank you so fucking much when I'm at a sit-down restaurant, because it's like a constant fear that they're gonna fuck with my food. And it's never the back of the house. It's always the fact that prices can be baked into the product. Maybe I just come from a completely different era, but I come from the I've ordered off menu at restaurants before so frequently that they've just added what I order to the menu. And I've had like the chef come out and bring my food before when I've ordered off menu. And he was just like, it gets boring making the same thing all the time. So like, I just wanted to say thanks for changing up my workday. I was like, oh, you're welcome. Some people just like to have fun. The Southern barbecue mogs, Northern, it's not even close. You're a trucker and you've had barbecue from all over in Southern, especially Texas, is the best. I'll have to try Texas. I'll have to try it. At the very least, don't grumble to the restaurant staff about the charge. This guy's a retard. Hopefully the restaurant industry will stabilize, but the days of free appetizers seem to be well behind us. I think charging for chips and salsa is a band-aid that's going to be ripped off eventually with the current state of restaurants, Daddy says. Everybody is suffering one way or another. In the meantime, consumers must acclimate. We can't continue to expect restaurants to absorb all of the costs. Chat, we don't have to live like this. We shouldn't have to live like this. Bro, I hate it.